The first line I wrote down was, she was a fast machine, she kept her motor clean. That was the first thing I could come up with.
Part of Back in Black was finished in this studio.
That's where I remember it from. I remember every detail of doing that album, because at the time I had my own little business in Newcastle, and I played in a band at night time. I'd already been quite successful with a little band called Geordie. We'd had 2 or 3 minor hits, and I was more broke than when I joined. So I had to start earning some money to pay the mortgage. And, I got a phone call one day, right out of the blue, and it said, "You are Brian Johnson, this is you." And I went, "Who are you? What do you want?" She said, "You must come to London and sing with a group." And I said, "Which group?"
You were invited to an audition.
Yeah, she wouldn't tell me. And I said, "Well, I'm not coming down." And at the end, she said something like, "You must come." And I said, "Tell me the name of the band." And she said, "No, but I can give you the initials." She says, "AC und DC." I said, "You mean AC/DC?" And she went, "Scheiße, I have said too much." So I was going down to get something down there, and that's when I went down and met the boys. We sang 2 songs or something, and then there was some nods and smiles, and I guess it was just this wonderful moment when, the stars align or something like that.
Well, and you must have done a pretty good audition.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I remember I sang Tina Turner's Nutbush City Limits, and they had to learn it. Like, what the hell? But it was wonderful. And 2 or 3 weeks later, I was on a plane to the Bahamas. Never been there in my life.
Well, AC/DC, they lost their lead singer, unfortunately.
Bon left, yeah. He left way too early.
And that's the reason that they had to find a new singer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you have any trouble fitting in? I mean, first of all, you come in after the death of their rightfully legendary, if not iconic, lead singer.
It was scary, Dan, and that was beautifully scary. It was because I was 32 years old. I thought, what am I doing here? Listen, they're going to find out after a couple of days that I'm just not that good. And, Malcolm came up to us, I think, on the second day, and he said, "Can you write lyrics?" And I said, "I'll give it a shot." And he said, "Well, here you go." And he gave us a cassette. There were these horrible little rooms with a hand basin, a bed, and a little desk. And that was it. And we got a machete and a 6-foot fishing spear from the woman because the Tahitian drug dealers in the jungle who were coming down trying to steal everything. So that wasn't a good start. And a yellow legal pad and a pen. And he said, "There you go." And he put it there, and I just heard this riff, and I just wrote. I was a car fanatic then as well, so the first line I wrote down was, "She was a fast machine, she kept her motor clean." That was the first thing I could come up with. Best damn woman I ever seen. So, and it just went on from there. We're only there 6 weeks, Dan. I mean, it belies belief that we actually did this album, this monster album, in 6 weeks, but the budget was in such a way that we really couldn't afford to hang around.
Did the thought occur to you, you've just joined AC/DC, and the Back in Black takes off and dominates the charts, obviously made every lot of money. Did the thought ever occur to you, you know what, this is my first time with them really to hit the big time, so that's it. I'm going to walk away from it. It's like Ted Williams hitting a home run his last at-bat or something.
Yeah, I waited, it seemed like forever. It must have been about a month. And a package came, and it was Back in Black, the cover, and I went, wow, look at this. It's black. And I was living with my mom and dad at the time. And
living with your mom and dad because you were broke?
Well, I was separated from, I was from the wife, so I was living with my mom and dad, and they didn't have a record player or anything. So I went, oh my God. So I phoned one of the boys from the band I was in, Dick Rutham, who was a guitarist, and Geordie too, and I said, "Joe, better can I come down? I've got this new album that we did. It's called, the Back in Black one." He went, "Oh, right." He said, "Is that nonsense not finished yet?" He said, "Come on, we've got to get back together again." because, you know, I'd
With
left
his
this
old- with
lovely
your old
band.
band, yeah.
Yeah, my old band, and I felt terrible because, you know, we were very popular in Newcastle. And so I took it down to him, and he went, well, it's a bit of a cheapskate. And he put it on, and it was Hell's Bells was the first thing. And he went on, and I started singing, and he went, no, 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 no. He said, it's too high, man. Too high. He said, they've ruined you. He said, here, come on, let's go for a pint. And I went, what? And that was all I'd heard of it. I was going, oh, Jesus, everybody's going to hate it. And, of course, it turned out to be completely the opposite. But it was my first reaction I'd got from somebody else. Nah, it's too high. We're too high, that is.
AC/DC is known as one of, if not the greatest live acts in rock and roll
Yes,
history.
thank you.
Which raises the question, do you think you were a born performer?
I think I was. Yes, it's hard to say or not. You know, I remember for no other reason than I was in the Sea Scouts, 15 Sea Scouts. And we had a thing called gang shows. It happens once a year where the guys, you know, they sing songs and, you know, they do little skits and all of that. And without knowing why, I was picked to sing all the songs and be in the skits. And then I was asked to join the church choir, which was tough because it was Catholic. Well, it still spoke in Latin then, Dan. And suddenly I was head choir boy. So they had to write it out phonetically. So you know many spiritu, you know, all of this. But
So you think you were born to perform?
Well, I guess I must have been. I mean, I wouldn't even, you know, I wouldn't say it in a bragging way. I just did it. I enjoyed it, you know. It didn't seem like work at all to me, you know.
Fair or unfair to say that heavy metal is less melodic than hard rock?
Yeah, absolutely. It's go for the throat time, and some of it is sensational in its intensity. Metallica made a particularly grand Fist Laws, you know, is another drummer that is just right there. I mean, he is one of the best in the world. I mean, Phil's hero drummer was Ringo Starr. And he said, you know, Ringo Starr was still is, one of the greatest drummers. And I agree with him totally. You know, but, you know, to be surrounded by the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, you know, and you're sitting playing drums for them three, you know, it's going to be a pretty tough gig.
I never heard him described that way. We had Ringo Starr in this program recently. By the way, he was terrific.
Yeah, he's lovely.
But I never heard it put that way with the Beatles.
Uh-huh.
In effect, you had what you call, quote, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, and the drummer, Ringo.
And then I was the drummer for the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. It's a pretty tough gig, you know. But he acquitted himself for that. I thought he was brilliant. You know, there's so many great acts and different things out there now. It's almost hard to put your finger on anything in music anymore, Dan. It's just with the internet and the different outlets. It's just the music is everywhere. It's readily available to anyone, anytime. You know.